Back in 2017, one single piece of malware basically brought the entire world to a standstill. It wasn't just another cyber attack. It was a full-blown digital pandemic called WannaCry. And honestly, it showed us just how fragile our connected world really is. So let's break down exactly how it all went down.
So get this. In just one weekend, a single piece of malware spreads to over 200,000 computers across 150 different countries. It's hitting hospitals, global shipping companies, government agencies, and the craziest part? No one had to click a bad link, no one had to open a malicious email. It just spread all on its own. That was the insane scale of the WannaCry crisis.
All right, so here's how we're going to unpack this. We'll start with the stolen government cyber weapon that made the whole thing possible. Then we'll dive into the anatomy of the attack itself, follow the timeline of the global outbreak, see how an accidental hero found a kill switch, and finally, figure out why so many defenses just completely crumbled and what we need to learn from it today.
You see, the story of WannaCry doesn't start with some criminal mastermind in a dark room. Now, it starts inside one of the most powerful intelligence agencies on the planet.
So you've got this mysterious group. They call themselves the Shadow Brokers. And somehow, they managed to steal a whole arsenal of top-secret cyber weapons from the U.S. National Security Agency. And in April of 2017, they didn't just try to sell them, they just dumped them online for anyone to use.
Now, the absolute crown jewel of this leak was a tool with a pretty ominous name, EternalBlue. It was this incredibly sophisticated exploit that the NSA had built to go after a very specific and, it turns out, very common flaw in the Windows operating system. This one tool would become the engine for the entire WannaCry pandemic.
So, how did they do it? How did a single stolen government exploit spiral into a massive global crisis? Well, to get that, you have to look at the anatomy of the attack itself.
The weak spot here was a protocol called Server Message Block, or SMB. It's a really basic, fundamental part of Windows that lets computers do things like share files and printers across a network. The vulnerability was hiding in an old version, SMBv1, which, despite being totally outdated, was still enabled by default on millions and millions of machines.
And this is what made WannaCry so incredibly dangerous. It wasn't just ransomware. It was a crypto worm. Say, normal ransomware needs a person to make a mistake, right? You got to click the phishing link or open the bad attachment. A worm, though, a worm is autonomous. It actively hunts for new victims all by itself. So by combining the two, the attackers created something that was just devastatingly efficient.
The attack was brutally efficient. It followed a really clear four-step playbook. First, the worm would just scan the internet looking for computers with a specific network port open, port 445. As soon as it found one, bam, it used the EternalBlue exploit to break in. Then it installed another NSA tool to act as a backdoor, and finally, it let loose the ransomware payload, encrypting all the files.
And that backdoor, yeah, that was another leaked NSA tool called DoublePulsar. The analogy here is perfect. Think of EternalBlue as the battering ram that smashes down the door, and then DoublePulsar is the agent that slips inside to plant the bomb, which in this case was the WannaCry ransomware.
And the scary part was just how many systems were wide open. We're talking everything from ancient, unsupported Windows XP, all the way up to, at the time, modern versions of Windows 10 and Windows Server. It didn't matter if your machine was old or new. The only thing that mattered was whether or not you had applied one critical security patch. So all the pieces are on the board. All the dominoes are lined up. And then, on Friday, May 12, 2017, what started as a few little infections just exploded into a global firestorm.
Now this timeline, this is really the heart of the tragedy right here. You see, Microsoft actually released a patch for this vulnerability, MS17010, way back on March 14th. The exploit itself got leaked a month later, but the attack didn't start until May 12th. That's a 59-day window. Think about that. Nearly 2 full months where organizations could have protected themselves.
The scale was just staggering. But here's where it gets really interesting. Despite hitting over 200,000 systems, the attackers only made about $143,000. And that tells you everything. The real goal here wasn't money, it was to cause maximum operational chaos. Eventually, the US government pointed the finger for this attack at North Korea's Lazarus Group.
And if you want to see where that chaos really hit home, look no further than the UK's National Health Service, the NHS. The attack absolutely crippled hospitals, costing millions of pounds and disrupting patient care on a scale that was just
unimaginable.
And let's make that real for a second. We're talking about the cancellation of about 19,000 medical appointments. MRI scanners went down, blood storage refrigerators failed, surgical equipment was unusable, ambulances had to be diverted to other hospitals, and doctors and nurses were forced to go back to using pen and paper.
And the NHS was not alone, not by a long shot. The attack hit major global companies and governments everywhere, from the telecom giant Telefonica in Spain to Germany's national rail system and FedEx right here in the US. It literally stopped car production at Renault factories and took down thousands of payment systems at gas stations in China.
But right as the attack was raging and things looked their bleakest, something totally unexpected happened. A young security researcher, working from his bedroom, basically stumbled upon a way to hit the brakes.
So you've got this researcher, Marcus Hutchins, and he notices something weird in the malware's code. It was trying to connect to this really long, gibberish-looking domain name. So he checks, and he sees that the domain isn't actually registered by anyone. On a hunch, he spends $10.69 to buy it. And by doing that, he accidentally activated a kill switch that was built into the malware. The original version stopped spreading. It was this incredible stroke of luck that gave defenders all over the world just enough breathing room to start fighting back.
Okay, so this brings us to the most important question of all, right? If a patch was available for 2 months and this accidental kill switch was found, why did WannaCry cause so much damage? What went so fundamentally wrong?
And the answers, honestly, they all point to a catastrophic failure of just the basics. First off, patch management was way too slow. Organizations just didn't apply the fix in time. Second, their internal networks were flat, meaning once the worm got inside, there were no internal walls or firewalls to stop it from spreading to every single machine. And finally, you had countless organizations still running on ancient systems like Windows XP, which weren't even officially supported anymore. It was truly a perfect storm of poor cybersecurity hygiene.
So what can we as developers, as security folks, learn from all this? Because this isn't just a history lesson, right? This is a playbook for how to prevent the next WannaCry.
The lessons from WannaCry are crystal clear, and they are just as important today as they were then. Let's run through them. 1. Patch critical vulnerabilities, and do it fast. Think 48 to 72 hours, not weeks or months. 2. Disable old, insecure protocols like SMB-v1. It just shouldn't be running, period. 3. Segment your network. Build internal walls. Don't let one compromised laptop take down your entire company. 4. Keep offline backups, and just as important, test them to make sure they actually work. 5. You can't protect what you don't know you have. Keep a full inventory of all your assets. And finally, 6. Run drills. Test your incident response plan before you're in the middle of a 5-alarm fire.
You know, WannaCry wasn't some sophisticated zero-day attack exploiting a brand new vulnerability. It succeeded because of widespread failures in basic fundamental security diligence. And that leaves us with one critical question to ask ourselves. When the next big one comes along, is our plan truly ready for it?